getting to the end of the season you would like to see before it's all over?
I'm not even memeing when I say, like, I'd love to see Teemo again in pro play. But if we're going to go with realistic with the teams on the Rift, just put... Oh, wait, it's Garvey. It's not Fearness, so no Ornn.
It's Garvey.
Yeah, for Garvey, I don't know. It'll be an interesting one, considering that Garvey's only played one game this split.
It was on Corky.
Yeah. But
it's gonna be
we get the Xayah. Get the Xayah coming in the bot lane, so at least giving them those defensive tools down there. Very good against compositions that really want to dive into the back line. They have the Ryze there to try and enable her and, you know, facilitate with some of the plays from the Realm Warp. And now seeing where Knight wants to go, looks like he will be heading towards that Ahri pick. So Knight sticking with the aggression. And, you know, a little bit surprised for TS right now, hovering the Xinzao. That's actually been Shadow's go-to pick. So if they do lock it in, it is a little bit of a takeaway. But Tian really has been one of those players who is pretty much locked in the Heck Room anytime it is available.
I will say, I'm still so taken aback and happy for the mids of the LPL and the way that they've utilized Ahri. And honestly, Knight locking in that pick, that is terrifying, right? When you give this mechanically minded, genius mid laner a pick that can, first of all, cross in huge distances, but now has it like is a primary engage, it feels like, for a lot of LPL teams. Like, that is terrifying. Also, Tian getting the least in here in the first game as well. It is responded to by the Viego for LGD and Shadow, though.
So already starting to see two very different directions where these comps are going, right? Top Esports, a lot more early game aggression with how it's heading so far with the Ahri plus Lee Sin combination. Definitely will be able to guarantee themselves some prio in that mid jungle 2v2. For LGD, a bit more scaling so far, right? Very skirmish oriented with the Viego locked in on top of already having that Xayah there. So for LGD, I'm curious to see how they want to round it out. Again, we don't have too much to pull from in terms of what Garvey will be looking at top. Garvey, you know, when he first came in, very much was on the carry champion hype train. And Shadow has much preferred playing around top side. And if we think of other blind picks that are still open, right? The Gnar still being there. Graves as well, something that kind of has flexibility in terms of being able to play weak side, but also you can funnel resources into it and you can become just a massive threat in the side lane.
Where he whips out the Corky. We'll see the LGD bans here in the second phase. Obviously focusing more towards the solo lanes here as the Tryndamere joins the Jace in the ban table. TES focusing towards the supports, want to take away the lovers duo so they get the Rakan away. I would wonder if they go for more of those engaged supports to kind of take away some of the tools from LGD, but there are so many.
Yeah, I mean, right, Nautilus, Leona, both still being left open are clear go-tos. Tahm Kench, another big one if you want to take away, you know, extra safety on top of the backline duo for the side of LGD, especially when for TS. You have a lot of like single target pick and damage coming out from your mid-jungle, but no, instead just opting into taking away the Nautilus for the opposite side. Now for LGD, I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised if they just went for a top laner here and chose to counter pick on support. We've already highlighted things like Gnar and Graves up, but no, LGD wanting to engage. They want to go in. They want to fight.
Like, hey, that's all you got to do in the LPL. It did like the Nautilus ban, but it still leaves on the table. Leona locked in. Something else we haven't talked about too much, and obviously we'll get to it in the game itself, but it is JackeyLove and Mark versus Eric and JinJiao, and I feel like, you know, we put a lot of focus for TES on Tian and Knight, but they still got, you know, one of the legendary AD carries in the LPL in the world, and JackeyLove down there, and now he's on the Aphelios. Comfort pick for him again. It is going to be a bit terrifying.
Yeah, JackeyLove versus Eric, a legendary matchup here today. As for TS, I'm kind of curious where they'd go, right? Because my eyes naturally drifted towards things like the Thresh or the Tahm Kench, both still being left open if you want to give JackeyLove some appeal. Obviously, Thresh would be a lot more varied in terms of how you are able to play the game. I feel like Tahm Kench has just really looked insanely strong here in the LPL with how proficient supports are on that pick. But TS,
let's go,
to bring a different flavor. So it gives them some disengage, right? If things like Eric come in, you can bring him out. You also have another option in terms of flanks, with Mark being able to find avenues onto the backline, maybe specifically onto Jay, since Eric does have that safety. And then you just end up bringing out the Gnar anyway. So, this is why I kind of expected LGD maybe to fourth pick top and then look for a favorable support matchup, considering that we did just end up with two relatively safe champions in that top side.
So I do want to break this down a little bit, though, because we have a lot of aggression coming out of the jungler matchup, at least a lot of skirmishing coming out. Tian on the Lee Sin has the pathing that can take a little bit of a unique turn to it and have that aggression labeled into it with Knight in the mid lane being that extra body there if needed. But it's all about coming together, I feel like. And you have a pretty strong team fight potential for LGD. You have a decent amount of that mid game potential as well, but it's a lot of, you know, eggs in the TES basket early on to try to get the ball rolling for themselves.
Yeah, I feel like TS's comp feels a little bit more well-rounded in terms of that. You have very strong early lanes. Again, you have the mid jungle, which should be able to put pressure on the opposing side. Your bot lane matchup wins, having the Aphelios up against the Xayah. And of course, when you have Sett, he's always going to look for things like early flash E's to try and burn the enemy AD carry flash, and you have to play safe. Graves naturally does push the wave in most matchups. And even for TS's side, I feel like their comp scales like relatively well in terms of their 5v5. So more holistic. Again, a lot of ways to play out the game. For LGD, I feel like you are relying heavily on that mid and late game 5v5 coming through. I feel like a lot of work's going to have to be done by Jay in the early and mid stages to cover for those side lanes with the Realm Warp. And then Shadow, of course, going to have to pop off with those ultimates, with those resets in the late game.
It has to be. And obviously, you know, a lot of that mid-late game focus for LGD, but I want to go back to the point of their well-roundedness for TES. It's still a potential for them to snowball out this game, right? Like if Tian gets a lead in the jungle, Lee Sin obviously can be so impressive. Tian can be so impressive. But as we hit the rip for this game number 1 of this first best of 3 of the night, TES versus LGD.
And especially for Tian in terms of the jungle, right? I mean, just even in League of Legends in general, getting your jungler ahead, that impacts the whole map, right? That impacts Shadow having to choose between, you know, looking to match where Tian's putting pressure, or if he can't, just having to look to cross map and really gonna give him less options in terms of what he's able to play out. So it'd be nice if Tian can once again have another standout series after the series he had up against Anyone's Legend.
Shout out to Tian really quick. I don't remember off the top of my head the name of that skin. I feel like I haven't seen this Lee Sin skin in like forever played in the LPL. So thank you, Tian. Thank you. It's a beautiful.
So what's your favorite Lee Sin skin?
You know, okay, so it's the new dragon one because I'm just a dragon stan. I love dragons themselves. So like the fact that all the effects and the abilities are dragon themed. This one was my favorite before that because it has the cool dragon on the back and it has the cool tattoos. So I would say I obviously don't remember the name of the skins, but the dragon Lee Sin skins.
I think it's Storm Dragon.
Something like that, yeah.
Always be a big fan of Godfist Lee Sin. I know a lot of people, you know, kind of prefer different variations of the Lee Sin. The Muay Thai looking one also really cool. But you know what? We can't just keep talking about skins. We got a game, and look at this. Both junglers pathing down towards this bottom side. Again, we expected a lot of aggression when Mark picked up the Sett in the bot lane, really wanting to go for a lot of these aggressive trades. And focusing on that mid lane matchup as well. I don't think you have to put a whole lot of attention on Wayward. He should be fine up in that top side. Shadow, probably just going to go for a bit of a full clear. I don't expect him to give too much attention to his lanes unless some of the laners of top esports are just egregiously overextended.
And again, I think the primary focus for both these teams, at least early on, to see where the kind of strategies are going to unfold is how this mid-jungle duo works out early on, where the pressure kind of lends itself, and how quickly they can get into the skirmishes themselves, because that's where a lot of this will lie between the junglers, is this skirmishing, as they are both heading towards the bot side of the map. Doesn't necessarily mean we'll get that early skirmishing I wanted, as Tian taking a pretty safe path this time around, but it is going to be at least something to be said that they are both towards this bottom side.
I feel like for LGD, though, you're not looking for a ton of early skirmishes unless you're able to get numbers advantage. In terms of, like, your isolated lanes, right, we can see Jay able to get prio early on. So, you know, if something breaks out Tian in River, is Tian not going to be able to find anything. But, you know, if Tian's in River looking for Scuttle, and then Jay can move first, Shadow's there, you can try and find a pick, so it isn't really a 2v2. I feel like that's more of what LGD would be looking for.
Shadow will spot out Tian, realizes he's made it there first. He's got the one up on him, and he will have to head towards the top side of the map. So Tian getting the better of the early pathing at least. Try and get some vision down there, make sure to keep JackeyLove and Mark safe down there. As actually
things are coming out.
They're positioning for a dive. They have a huge wave as well. Kravitz actually down on the Eric, and Eric pulling off the tower, realizes it might be a little bit too late to do that. The Ignite goes down, flash out, now TP coming in. Mark in some trouble taking up the tower. They get first blood, but Tian is locked down under tower, and it's responded to quickly. JackeyLove trying to get something back, though. He's looking at a triple down here for TES, but it's not going to be so, as the wave just a little bit out of touch for them.
Wait, Mark's still waiting here. Mark's still waiting here,
man. He's got flash, too. He's looking for the big face breaker onto both of them over the side there. I can see it. I can visualize it. But Mark says he doesn't want to go.
Yeah, I think, you know, good for him because, like, that timer's not that long. Eric's going to get back relatively fast to see him already getting back to lane. Sad for TS that it ended up being a 1-for-1, so LGD actually getting something out of that. And not even losing any mid lane CS either because Shadow has just been catching waves the whole time in mid, so will actually even find himself, you know, a decent bit of experience right now, being level 5 to Tian's 4, just because he's gotten probably a wave and a half in that lane. But Tian does not want to stop with the aggression. He's continuing to truck forward, and we'll be able to probably still away these Krugs.
That's what you got to do on the Lee Sin. Keep the pathing going. Keep moving forward. And Tian was just on the bottom side. You'd think there was 2 of them. He's just too quick.
Yeah, and he's just gonna steal these away. Wayward does have a full wave, but with Garvey recalling it to being back lane, does have this plated steel caps now. Any kind of dive would be really risky. Wayward even having no mana, so would have to TP in and try and set that one up yourselves. Both will back off, and I kind of expect action just pan back towards that bottom side with the fact that Eric now not having the flash available, leaving him really vulnerable. LGD, though, trying to just guarantee that Jay is able to push out this wave. I expect JinJiao to head back down. Knight playing very respectful and even having that Spirit Rush already available.
And we are hitting level 6s, at least for the mid laners. So the Realm Warp's available for Jay. The side lane play is available for both these teams in all actuality. But the Spirit Rush for Knight available too. I love to see JinJiao getting out onto the roam early on, though. Got to see that fluidity going on for that team, especially if they, you know, got to keep the flexi seal and all the leaks as the game goes on to make sure that the boat stays safe into the late game.
Yeah, even just matching just in case top esports would have looked for any aggressive play onto Jay. Now for TS, I like what they're doing. You need to try and clear out some of these control wards that LGD have been able to get around the mid lane. Not exactly going to be able to do that just yet. You might have to wait until top esports bot lane pushes out. And yep, there it is. They can start making their way up. Knight and Tian can now start clearing out these wards. And it starts giving that path for Knight to start making those roams down towards that bottom side.
No early Dragon Prio, though, for either side just yet, as we've been seeing that fall off a cliff, it feels like. Speaking of falling off a cliff, Shadow going to make Tian fall off a cliff. Heartbreaker in defense from Shadow, as Knight came in clutch with the Spirit Rush to defend his jungler.
And even just sets up for Tian to get the Scuttle Crab. You take away the other control ward. And look at the minimap, Tian.
He's just going.
Knowing that Shadow just wasted that. Yeah, he's going to look for these duels. Only level 5 to Shadow's level 6.
He doesn't have Heartbreaker, though. Tian knows that, and he is ruthless. Tian gets the kill on a Shadow. And the Realm Orb actually doesn't get taken by Jay. Meanwhile, bot side, beautiful face breaker. Cleanse from Eric, though. Immediately back. There's the Haymaker to get a little bit of damage onto JinJiao. Just a quick use of cooldown from Eric will stop the advance of TES.
Bot lane's doing fine, but look at top side. I was going to say, Tian moving up, and it zones Garvey off the wave. So Wayward denying Garvey so much. 20 CS lead, no TP for Garvey, so he's only going to lose more. And this has kind of been how Wayward's functioned in a lot of games, to where Tian doesn't play a whole lot in terms of ganking for Wayward. Will hover up, will try and give him those CS advantages, and then you trust to leave Wayward on his own, where he can just become this big, massive threat later on for the enemy top laner to have to deal with.
Tian just playing his own game, and Wayward's up there saying hi as he goes. But honestly, you know, top lane has always been a lane that is very volatile, right? You lose 1 inch, they take a mile, it feels like. In these last couple weeks, it feels even worse, right? Like, literally one situation Garvey was in early on has now put him down hugely. And yes, there's still ways to claw back in that one. It is really rough to even lose one little foothold in the top lane right now in the meta, as we see a couple of trades of objectives. Dragon going to LGD. Garvey stopping the Rift Herald from Tian, at least for now, but he might put himself into some trouble.
I was going to say, because you look at the minimap, Shadow's nowhere near. Garvey just going to have to back out for now. And even going to your point before, right? I feel like that's just how League of I'm gonna calm down, Tian.
No, Garvey. Oh, he tried so hard. He still gets out.
Oh,
what? Okay, Tian, I know you're not going to let that go, right? Like, you don't want to let that go, right? Okay. He's just like, I'm going to go under tower just in case he's there. What a play from Garvey, though.
I mean, I guess putting himself in that position where he has to flash, he's once again going to lose so much in terms of minions. So for top esports, I feel like that's why you're not just dropping Herald on top right now, is you're like, screw it, let's deny Garvey even more CS. LGD trying to answer on the bottom side, though.
A lot of bodies down here, but no looks to the dive, at least, because JackeyLove and Mark, pretty difficult to dive themselves. I mean, that combo from Sett under tower is actually nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I mean, right, being able to go for the face breaker to a showstopper, it even sets up a really easy Moonlight Vigil for JackeyLove. So good call by LGD to back off, as Wayward just going to continue to deny Garvey
so
in
Do
the
we
top
have
side.
to come up here? Can we just, like, not show top lane anymore? We'll just come back to Garvey when we're in team fights.
It's even more sad considering, again, this is Garvey's second game, this split.
His other one was Corky. Collateral damage onto Garvey, though. Wayward in some trouble here himself. Garvey about to have Gnar, so with the moral support of JinJiao behind him, Garvey feeling good.
And this was something we were hitting on earlier in the game, right? The top esports have the ability to just snowball this game, considering the fact that they do have those winning lanes coming through in sides, and just having the superior 2v2, even if Ryze is fine in terms of just the 1v1. But top esports having a lot more options in the early game. Looks like they're pretty close to being able to get a play on JackeyLove. Obviously, Wayward, massive right now, more than 1,000 gold above Garvey. So once we start getting into these skirmishes, feels like TS are just going to be so huge in terms of item advantages. And Tian's still sitting on that Rift Herald.
He is indeed. Still has a little while as well to choose where he wants to utilize that. I do see it. Infernal Dragon has our second dragon. It is just the second dragon of the game, so in 2 minutes, you know, maybe that objective focus will be there for LGD to try and get the stacking going, right? We set up for them that it is about the mid to late game. If you can get the stacking going in dragons, it helps a lot to get there. Tian might be in some trouble here as he walks face first into 3 members of LGD. The reset comes through from Shadow.
Yeah, very questionable pick coming out from Tian. I mean, you didn't have like a ton of vision out, but still, even Mark really nowhere close enough to, if other members of LGD happen to be there, able to follow up with a play. But hey, nice by LGD. They find a pick, gives them a bit of breathing room back into this game. Especially the fact that you killed off Tian, and again, he's the one with the Rift Herald.
Yeah, he is. He's gonna have to utilize that like immediately. Back as you see him coming out on the Rift. I thought Knight was gonna be in some trouble there. JackeyLove using the Gale Force forward on Eric, pops out the Feather Storm, and Mark looking for the dive.
Yeah, you're set up pretty well now. Eric does still have Flash and Cleanse available.
Does. He got out the cleanse last time. Facebreaker, there's the cleanse. Eric gets showstoppered into the ground, and Mark gets the kill.
And even Tian's starting to make his way over now.
This is the snowball.
Oh,
JinJiao, you're so dead. There's no way. You got everybody on you. And that's it. That's 2 kills on the bottom lane for TES, and they blow up this gold lead to about 3,000.
And it sets up for the easy Rift Herald pivot as well. You can drop that one down. Looks like they're going to move over to mid, so JackeyLove's going to find time here. Even plates are still
plates?
up. Top esports. Yeah, top esports are probably going to get 12, 13 plates in the first 15 minutes.
Jesus. I don't think I've seen this in weeks. See the Rift Herald in the mid lane there. Oh, beautiful kick. And that's the Dragon Fist Lee Sin right there for you.
Keeping up the pressure. You hit on it earlier. Tien's pretty much going from lane to lane to lane. It feels like there's 2 of him. From top to bot, back to mid, constantly making these plays. Knight there with the setup, and Mark having a really great game on this set so far. Almost 100% kill participation as well.
They showed us the minions taking the top side tower. So Wayward was it there for the local gold? But it's still a lot of early pressure by TES. We said, you know, they are strong. They have a lot of flexibility throughout the game. It's not only the early game, but there is that snowball potential. And I don't know, it's starting to look a little snowy around here.
I mean, if top esports didn't randomly drop that series to IG, they'd be on a 9-series win streak right now.
Yep.
9-series win streak. It's absolutely insane. Even that IG series went all the way to 3 games. And, you know, no discredit to IG, but it felt like that one was a lot more of top esports kind of trolling than it was IG necessarily outplaying. Yukai did have a good series that game, though. Good game that series, but still, kind of sad that top esports don't get to end with like a massive 10-series win streak heading into playoffs, but at least keeping up the momentum with this game. This is their last series of the split, so it would be nice to see top esports end strong.
And I think, you highlighting the fact that they do have the propensity to have some rough games and drop some games to some bottom table teams. It always leaves the door open for LGD in this series, right? It is a best of 3, got a lot to work through. But TES want to make that quick work onto JinJiao. It is the focus on a mark on the side, though, but he's tanking up a storm while JinJiao is already dead. Tian connects the Sonic Wave. Eric just left out flashes to the jaws of Wayward, waiting there with the shotgun in hand.
Yeah, sad for him. And look at the minimap. Looks like Garvey also in some trouble now as well.
Oh, doesn't get the charm on the back end of it. The collateral damage
nice flash.
gets flashed out of Garvey with the flashes. This game have been on point, but it is unfortunate when the entire boat is sinking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right. We got to find the positive things to get excited about for LGD in this game with just how hard it's been through the early game, which, again, is just major kudos to TS with how they pretty much kept the fire on LGD the whole time. They never gave them a lot of time to react, to try and figure out plays. No, Tian just was constantly making these plays. Knight as well, starting to be massive in terms of his movements on the map. Rift Herald's up. It looks like TS are going to start posturing towards that one. And here we go. JackeyLove sees an opportunity. Gale forces forward. They get onto JinJiao. It does force out Eric's ultimate, forces him back. And then here, we see, sadly for Eric, trying to get away. Flashes right into Wayward. Right place, right time for them. And then here is the Rift Herald we were just talking about.
God, it feels like it's been past 20 minutes for like a majority of this game, but it's only 15:55 in the game right now. Garvey doesn't get hit by the Everfrost. Gets out with a little hop, skip, and a jump. Gnar, but it is Rift Herald secured by Tian. The second Rift Herald of the game. And 3 neutral objectives for TES.
Yeah, and it feels like it's just a matter of time, right? I mean, 7,000 gold lead for TES. And as we said, right, them trying to make their way up, fight for, trying to get yourself either into third, fourth, or even as high as top 2 to be able to get as many buys as possible. And goodbye, Jay.
Yeah. No, hey, he's tanky. All right? He's tanky. He does not die to Wayward just yet. And it will be Jay making out a lot.
I am actually kind of surprised that Wayward's just able to one-shot him. He did have his flash up. There were other members around, so it was still rather likely he'd be able to get away. But still, Wayward does find the damage. And now for TS, we're just kind of looking at where they're going to be utilizing the second Rift Herald. You do have 3 members up towards the top side right now. JackeyLove feeling comfortable just solo managing waves in mid, considering he does still have both of his summoners up. And even the Gale Force being there for added security.
Here comes the Rift Herald on top side onto this tier 2. Just trying to crack down the base a little bit more from LGD. The Knight, Mark, and Tian are all up here with JackeyLove coming up behind. Charge gets off. They won't get the tower here. Still committing a lot of bodies, though, and Eric on his way up here as well. Here they go onto the tower. JinJiao connects the Zenith play. I don't know if you wanted to connect that one. Down Knight with the Everfrost does not connect it. Moonlight Vigil onto Jay. Just a lot of poke damage from TES, and it's the gold lead that is helping them in this situation.
And TS are not only like putting on this pressure in the lanes, right? They're denying gold from LGD. You can see just constantly taking the jungle camps. They just took the Krugs. JackeyLove right now taking those Raptors. It's making it really hard for LGD to be able to find gold anywhere on the map.
Knight playing with his food here. They were waiting. They had the bush trap ready to go, but Knight, his spidey senses are tingling. Will not fall for it. The pressure continues on, but I do see a reset coming out, and Realm Warp now coming in for the 3 members. Nice Everfrost, though. Knight still will die, as 3 members are better than 1.
And for LGD, they find themselves a pick. Dragon's coming up in 20 seconds. Knight will still be dead, so you can potentially try and maneuver yourself for a 5v4, which I'll be honest, I feel like even 4v5 top esports probably still come out ahead just with items. I mean, you look, Wayward, a full item up on the opposition.
Collector just finished for JackeyLove, too. I mean, that's a huge pickup, especially because they're so far ahead.
Yeah, so for LGD, they're not even going to try realizing, hey, that pick is what it is. It's just a bit of gold. And, as now we are in a place where top esports are so far ahead and there's really no neutral objective up on the map, I want to make people who are watching say, what are these casters talking about by asking you, as someone who is from Texas, pulled pork or brisket?
Brisket, 100%, but it has to be good cooked brisket. It's got to have that.
I agree.
It's got to have that pink layer on the edge. It's got to be beautifully tender and juicy. If it ain't that, I don't want it. I'll stick with.
I feel like brisket has way higher variance in like being good or bad,
100%.
to where pulled pork is pretty consistently awesome.
Pork is more so about the barbecue sauce. And it all depends
Exactly.
on where you go, right? Like, you want the tangy barbecue sauce, you want the smoke, you want a little spice. But yeah, I definitely think the variance on brisket is huge, but gotta go for Texas brisket.
I was gonna say I'm glad that my opinions are verified by a literal
A
Texan.
literal Texan. I got you. I got my Texan card right here for you.
But coming back to the game, kind of wondering what kind of special sauce we'll be seeing coming out from top Esports. Are they going to go tangy? Are they going to go, maybe a little bit
spicy,
thick,
man. I
a little
don't
bit
know. I feel like it's spice because they are just destroying this game right now. About 7,000 gold in the lead for themselves. They've just been constantly keeping up the pressure. I will say one thing, at least saving grace, is it feels like LGD have been able to shore themselves up a little bit in terms of making sure people are getting gold. But Wayward says, Garvey, you showed up in the wrong part of town, and you get out anyways somehow.
So Wayward not wanting to commit right because they can see members moving away from mid, so he knows they're logically moving down. And I gotta say, for that silver lining for LGD, a lot of it's because top esports have taken so much off the map. There's nothing left for them to really take other than try and force these fights.
Mark is forcing so hard, and he still gets it off. That is the power of Sett when you are ahead. Is literally just getting pelted in the face, CC 3 times, still gets the engage off.
I mean, even having the dead man's plate now, right? Having that added movement speed, being able to get onto the targets he chooses. On 4TS, I've kind of expected them to maybe pivot towards looking for a bit of a Baron dance to try and just end this game even faster. But no, they're not going to give LGD ways to get back into the game. They're going to just take these turrets. They can look to cement more vision in that top side jungle, get your resets off, and then maybe start playing that game where, again, you're just trying to force out an engage. You don't have the showstopper backup just yet, though, so probably want to wait a little bit.
So as we see, TES getting their camping supplies out, their tents all ready to go on the top side of the map of LGD. Where's your favorite camping spot, Lear? Do you have a favorite camping spot? Do you have a place that you like to go?
So, I can say I don't really go camping. Think about it. We talk about video games. Do people who talk about or play video games go camping? Yes, they do.
Yes.
But I'm not one of those people.
Tian is camping topside. What are you talking about? People that play video games talking about video games aren't camping. TES are camping as 5-man right now.
They are. They are playing towards the top side. I do got to say, Sedona, a nice little place in Arizona, very beautiful. Have been camping there. As Mazel, I'm going to take this away from camping because camping's something, again, I don't know, because I am an absolute nerd.
Well, if you need to learn,
we get the Baron dance now.
If you need to learn, TS are starting up the barbecue pit right now as they are moving into the top side again for what seems like the millionth time. LGD actually defended. As TS not having a bunch of vision on the back side of the jungle means it's a bit indecisive.
I also feel like for them, they are trying to force Garvey to TP, right? So they're keeping Wayward down in that bot side.
Like, Tian is walking in by himself, and LGD don't have any confidence to take him out. JinJiao just dies because of it. Now Garvey almost hitting Gnar, just getting blown up by JackeyLove. And TES are wiping the floor with LGD, and they're moving on to the Baron.
Yep, can start moving to that Baron. Dragon going to come up in 1 minute. For TES, they're playing this one by the book. They're not over-aggressing in any area. Again, even hitting on that play, right? They were keeping Wayward down towards that bottom side. I feel like trying to pull Garvey back down before they went with that aggression. They found the angle even without it. And Ahri...
The Feather Storm comes out. The Blade Caller immediately utilized. Here comes the Realm Warp as they're sending in Shadow. He doesn't get it, and Shadow gets blown up by the chakrams. JackeyLove comes in clutch, and now it's catastrophe for LGD.
I mean, I feel like it's been a bit of a catastrophe for quite a while. And now for TES, they're just gonna continue trucking forward, taking away these jungle camps, kind of biding their time. They're gonna get the resets off. They're sitting on some gold, get more items, get back out on the map. They can pick up that next dragon, and then you got to assume the game ends before. Soul, we're going to go straight into the replay. Again, they were trying to pull Garvey back down, but with Knight landing the charm, they're able to get nice damage down on JinJiao. Mark following through with the showstopper guarantees that kill going over. Then TS, they continue to try to force, but LGD able to get most members away. Garvey also going down in the end. Garvey's first death.
Is Garvey's first death. He's been doing a really good job of staying and maintaining the top side of the map, at least for the half of the game. But it is 3 dragons now for TS, as Tian will finish that one up. Shadow barely makes it out with his blue buff, as he will be relegated back to his base, as has been tradition in last 10 minutes.
Yeah, and for TS now, they can start getting that one going. They're having Wayward down, pushed down on that bottom side to play out the 2 lanes. They have pretty solid siege coming out. LGD not having the best way of clearing these minions because they have 2, mid-range champions in the Xayah and the Ryze, so not able to walk forward without just taking a ton of free damage from JackeyLove or Knight.
Inhib getting knocked down here. Wayward on the side there has the minion wave pushing into the bottom Inhib tower here as LGD try to make a defense. A bit worse for Wayward. Knight still hovering over the mid lane. The Baron minions are huge in this time. Still 1 minute and 10 seconds on that buff as well. They're just waiting for the waves to push in this bottom lane, as they also send Knight towards the top side to get that push.
And this is really going to be LGD's only window, is committing 5 members strong when TS are divided, trying to take
They're
on
going
these
on a
waves.
Wayward. Collateral damage hits all 4 of them. He goes golden, buying so much time for the rest of TES. Moonlight Vigil in from JackeyLove, and LGD's hopes were dashed. They were so close to pulling something away from this game, but all they pull are 5 graves, and TES has got a shovel in hand, and they're putting LGD in the dirt.
Yeah, really great quadra kill coming out from JackeyLove. And that's it. LGD, they try to find one pick, but they were nice guys, Mazel. They made it so the game ended even faster.
TES,
thank you, LGD, and thanks, Top Esports.
TES putting on some nice flowers there on LGD's lasting pieces of that first game. But, man, that is the TES we wanted to see coming into the last series for them in the spring split regular season. You need to see everybody firing on all cylinders. The fact that we had everybody included, everybody was strong at some point in the game. Tian keeping the pressure up, even in the top side. Wayward showing up against Garvey, and then JackeyLove coming in. He's got to make his face showed at some point in the game. And that last one, that's a highlight reel.
Yeah, and I mean, right, we saw Top Esports to come in. They draft these 2 side lanes that both have prio in their matchups. They draft a strong skirmishing mid-jungle 2v2, and they just kept their foot on the gas pedal the whole time. Like you said, again, I feel like your comment really nailed it, where it felt like there were 2 Tians. Tien was just absolutely everywhere on the map in the early game. And once Garvey started falling behind, it was a little bit rough. Wayward getting so many turret plates early on, and then TS kept bringing that aggression back down towards the bottom side once Wayward was in a good situation.
That's where I think it always comes back to bite LGD, and the fact that they do opt into a lot of the skirmishing. That in this game, right? All you gotta do is hold on, right? Your strength is in the mid to late game. They were buying into
that's all you gotta do.
A lot of the fights, and I will say, like, this team relies on a lot of momentum. That may be true for a lot of teams in the LPL, but it feels like as soon as a play doesn't go right for LGD, they lose a lot of that confidence that makes the plays that they go for work, right? And so you see Shadow not being aggressive, not pushing forward, not trying to take these 50-50s or get himself back to the game, and it's just a slow and steady burnout for them. And it's a consistent thing I feel like I've seen for LGD a lot of this back half of the split as well.
Look, I feel like for LGD, they rely on 2 things. One, they kind of rely on Shadow on something like Lee Sin to bridge their early game, and they rely on Eric on Jinx. Eric, surprisingly enough, 15 games of Jinx, 60% win rate, which hearing that, knowing how low LGD on the standings is pretty crazy. But that's once you realize that, they lose on pretty much everything that is not Jinx. So for LGD, maybe if they can get their hands on those specific picks, they can come out in game 2 relatively strong. But I'd even like to see maybe LGD just pick more aggressive early game champions, just try to flip the game with some early game aggression.
That's what I was going to say. Just need to see some of that typical aggression from LGD. Need to see something that Shadow feels confident on. And you see a little bit of comfort, maybe trying to